Welcome back, listeners, to an episode of the Sinister podcast. Tonight, we step into a world far darker than any we've explored before. A world where ordinary objects become vessels of unimaginable horror, holding within them the curses strong enough to destroy lives. Throughout history, we've collected souvenirs, antiques, and heirlooms, thinking of them as harmless keepsakes. Yet some objects come with stories soaked in blood, shrouded in tragedy, and dripping with misfortune. They carry curses that defy reason, leaving behind trails of madness, despair, and death. Tonight, we'll uncover the dark history behind some of the world's most sinister artifacts. Brace yourselves as we unlock stories hidden in their cursed shadows. Our first journey takes us to an object that glitters with beauty, but conceals a sinister heart, the infamous Hope Diamond. At first glance, its breathtaking jewel, a deep blue gem the size of a walnut, dazzling anyone fortunate or unfortunate. Enough to gaze upon its splendor, but behind its radiant glow lies a curse that spans centuries, continents, and countless ruined lives. The story of the Hope Diamond begins in the mystical temples of 17th century India. According to legend, it was originally embedded within a statue of the Hindu goddess Sita, symbolizing purity and devotion. But such precious beauty often draws greed, and soon enough, this jewel was violently ripped from its sacred place by a French merchant named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. Tavernier, driven by profit and dismissive of local warnings, smuggled the stone out of India. Yet the diamond's curse wasted no time taking hold. Shortly after selling this gem to King Louis XIV of France, Tavernier's life spiraled into despair. His fortune dwindled inexplicably. Investments failed, and eventually, legend says, he met a gruesome end. His body torn apart by wild dogs in the icy streets of Moscow. But Tavernier's tragic end was merely the beginning. The diamond quickly became a prized possession of the French monarchy, passed down to King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, who flaunted it in opulent displays of wealth. Yet, as they wore the gem, the curse continued weaving its grim tapestry. Within a few short years, revolution engulfed France, and both monarchs faced the sharp blade of the guillotine, executed before crowds thirsty for their blood. The diamond disappeared briefly during the chaos of the revolution, resurfacing decades later in England under a new name, the Hope Diamond. After its next fortunate owner, a wealthy banker named Henry Philip Hope. Initially unaware of its sinister past, Hope admired its beauty, proudly displaying it to his high society peers. But soon after acquiring it, tragedy descended on his family. One by one, relatives died prematurely. Mysterious illnesses, sudden accidents, inexplicable deaths, and the Hope family's wealth and lineage collapsed under the diamond's dark influence. By the early 20th century, the Hope Diamond found its way into the hands of the wealthy American heiress Evelyn Walsh McLean, who laughed off warnings of its curse as mere superstition. But fate swiftly showed its hand. Within a few short years, Evelyn's life unraveled dramatically. Her young son was killed tragically in a car accident. Her daughter succumbed to a drug overdose, and her husband spiraled into insanity, spending his final days confined in an asylum. Evelyn herself became consumed by grief, eventually passing away in isolation, burdened by unbearable sorrow. The tragedies surrounding the Hope Diamond became so infamous that no private buyer dared to touch it again. Eventually, it was donated anonymously to the Smithsonian Museum, where it rests today, securely locked away behind thick, bulletproof glass. Yet even now, visitors of the museum report strange sensations when near the gem. Feelings of overwhelming sadness, sudden nausea, or an eerie sense of being watched by something unseen. Could the Hope Diamond's curse still linger, silently waiting for its next victim? Our next tale leads us down a darker path, a path where the boundary between our world and the unseen blurs disturbingly. What if something mundane, something as ordinary as a wine cabinet, become a vessel for pure evil? This is the story of the Dybbuk Box, an innocuous wooden cabinet whose name alone sends chills through the spines of those familiar with its dark history. At first glance, it seems utterly harmless. A modest antique box of polished mahogany, decorated with brass handles and intricate Hebrew carvings. But within this unassuming artifact lies something ancient, restless, and profoundly malevolent. Now, for those who might not know, a Dybbuk is a malicious spirit from Jewish folklore, believed to be a twisted, restless soul of a deceased person, one who died traumatically, carrying unfinished business. It seeks out a living host, desperate to possess and torment until it achieves whatever sinister goal it was denied in life. Our story begins in 2001 in Portland, Oregon, where a seemingly innocent estate sale took place following the passing of a 103-year-old Polish woman named Havela. Her belongings, including the cabinet, were offered for sale by her granddaughter, who warned potential buyers against opening the mysterious item, ignoring this warning as Kevin Manis, an antique dealer who felt drawn to the box, intrigued by its unusual aura and design. As soon as Manis brought the cabinet home, strange and disturbing events began. On the very first night, Manis experienced vivid, horrifying nightmares. He dreamt repeatedly of an old woman, face contorted in rage, relentlessly attacking him, clawing at him with twisted fingers, eyes filled with unimaginable hatred. He woke each morning drenched in sweat, terrified, but rationalizing the experience as merely stress or coincidence. But these nightmares were just the start. His antique shop suddenly reeked of cat urine, yet no source could ever be found. Lights flickered inexplicably, electronics malfunctioned, and items mysteriously moved or shattered. A sense of pervasive dread hung heavy in the air, affecting every visitor who stepped inside. Manis's employees fell ill, plagued by persistent headaches and sudden waves of nausea, refusing to return to work as long as the cabinet remained. In desperation, Manis tried gifting the box to his own mother, hoping it would dispel the strange atmosphere. Yet the very day she opened it, she collapsed from a sudden stroke, leaving her temporarily paralyzed and unable to speak, able only to scribble a chilling warning on paper. Hate gift. She insisted with sheer panic in her eyes that he take the box away immediately. Realizing the object was the source of these horrors, Manis sold the cabinet online, hoping the nightmare would end. But the curse followed wherever the box went. Its next owner, a young college student, was eager and skeptical, amused by what he thought was a hoax. However, within days, his health rapidly deteriorated. He described terrifying hallucinations, shadowy figures lurking just outside of his vision, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread, so powerful he genuinely feared for his sanity. In desperation, he resold the Dybbuk Box yet again, this time to Jason Haxton, a respected museum director and curator of medical antiques. Haxton, drawn by both curiosity and skepticism, initially viewed the box scientifically, determined to debunk its curse through careful study. But the Dybbuk Box would prove far more powerful than Haxton ever imagined. Almost immediately after bringing it home, Haxton suffered severe physical afflictions, burning skin, rashes, inexplicable welts appearing overnight, painful coughing fits that left him struggling to breathe. He vividly described visions of grotesque entities prowling his home, distorted faces screaming silently from mirrors, and suffocating dreams of being buried alive. His health rapidly declined, alarming doctors who could find no rational explanation for his condition. Terrified and convinced of the Dybbuk Box's genuine evil, Haxton eventually sealed the box shut and hid it in a secret location, locked away from public view. But even then, he could still feel its presence, an oppressive, malevolent force silently watching, waiting, and perhaps plotting its return. The Dybbuk Box later fell into the hands of paranormal investigator Zach Bagans, known for confronting haunted objects directly. Today, it resides securely in Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, where visitors frequently report physical symptoms simply standing near the sealed display case. Nausea, dizziness, sudden inexplicable panic attacks. Some claim to see dark shapes moving at the edges of their vision, or hear whispers calling their names, as if the Dybbuk within patiently waits for an opportunity to break free and spread its terror once more. The story of the Dybbuk Box remains one of the most compelling and well-documented examples of a cursed object in modern history, leaving one haunting question unanswered: what dark forces truly lurks within? As we continue our journey into the darkness, let's turn our gaze towards something even more unsettling. A painting whose mere existence invokes terror and madness. Art often reflects the soul of its creator, capturing fleeting moments of beauty, joy, or sorrow. But what happens when the painting is born from the depths of pure despair, created with blood, agony, and madness? This is the story of the infamous painting known as the Anguished Man. On first glance, the painting is deeply unsettling. A distorted human figure is depicted in a state of profound torment, its mouth wide open in a silent, perpetual scream, skin an unnatural shade of fiery red, and its dark, hollow eyes staring out endlessly. The raw emotion captured on canvas leaves an immediate and lasting impression of dread on all who view it. The true horror of the Anguished Man begins with its creation. Though the artist's exact identity remains unknown, the story passed down through generations is chilling enough. Legends state that the painter suffered from severe mental torment, plagued by visions of grotesque horrors, insomnia, and relentless hallucinations. Desperate to capture the depths of his suffering, he mixed his own blood with the paint, convinced it was the only way to transfer his profound agony directly onto the canvas. The final brushstroke was said to coincide with the artist's tragic death, a grisly suicide ending his life abruptly, leaving behind nothing but this disturbing masterpiece as his final message. From that moment on, the painting carried an aura of darkness so potent that no owner since has ever found peace. For decades, the painting was hidden away, carefully sealed by each owner who passed it along, often terrified by their own encounters with it. Eventually, it found its way into the hands of Sean Robinson, an Englishman who inherited the painting from his grandmother. From his first day of ownership, Sean sensed something deeply wrong with the artwork. His grandmother had warned him sternly, recounting terrifying stories of shadowy figures appearing in her home, phantom footsteps echoing through halls, and a disturbing sense of always being watched. But Sean initially dismissed these tales as mere superstition, curiosity urging him to bring the painting into his own home. This decision proved to be one of his deepest regrets. Soon after displacing the Anguished Man in his home, Sean's life rapidly descended into a waking nightmare. A chorus of eerie whispers filled the darkened hallways of his home, voices murmuring unintelligibly yet persistently echoing with a sinister urgency. His family members woke frequently, terrified by vivid dreams featuring grotesque figures that closely resembled the anguished man himself, watching silently, mouths agape in perpetual screams. But the painting's influence grew stronger, and its manifestations became increasingly physical and violent. Doors began slamming shut with no reason. Lights flickered uncontrollably, and inexplicable drops in temperature chilled rooms to near freezing conditions within moments. Sean's wife described feeling an oppressive presence constantly watching her, lurking just beyond her vision, shadowy figures moving silently across rooms whenever she turned away. One night, the terror escalated to unbearable levels. Sean awoke to a loud, guttural cry resonating throughout the house. Racing into his son's room, he found the young boy trembling uncontrollably, eyes wide with fear. The child recounted through tears how a shadowy figure resembling the anguished man himself had been standing over his bed, reaching towards him, mouth frozen in a terrifying, soundless scream. In a desperate attempt to understand and perhaps prove the painting's supernatural phenomena, Sean set up cameras around his home. Shockingly, the footage captured genuine manifestations of inexplicable activity, doors violently slamming shut, disembodied cries echoing clearly, shadowy shapes moving swiftly across walls. Most disturbingly, the footage revealed the painting itself subtly shifting, almost breathing, its shadowy figure seemingly growing more vivid and intense each night. Sean's documented encounters with the anguished man gained notoriety, attracting paranormal investigators from around the globe, each eager yet cautious to encounter the painting's sinister aura firsthand. Yet no expert could provide answers, each investigation only reinforcing the unsettling reality. Whatever dwelled within this painting wasn't mere folklore. It was active, conscious, and deeply malevolent. Eventually driven nearly to madness, Sean hid the painting away, refusing to disclose its location, determined to prevent its dark influence from spreading any further. Yet, even locked away, its power persists. Witnesses who have glimpsed the painting even briefly describe profound psychological impacts, reoccurring nightmares, paranoia, visions of shadowy figures lingering in their periphery. Is it possible that the tortured spirit of its creator remains trapped inside, desperate to express its endless torment to anyone who dares to look? Or is there something even darker, more ancient, and far more malevolent now inhabiting the painting? Whatever the truth, the anguished man remains one of the world's most deeply disturbing cursed artifacts, a reminder that sometimes art born of agony is best left unseen. As our journey into the chilling world of cursed objects comes to a close, we're left standing at the threshold between belief and skepticism, superstition and reality. Tonight we've explored artifacts that appear harmless yet conceal unspeakable horror within their shadows. We began our journey with the glittering Hope Diamond, beautiful, seductive, yet cursed to destroy the lives of all who possess it. Then we faced the Dybbuk Box, a simple wooden cabinet imprisoning an entity so malevolent that it brought misery, sickness, and madness to anyone daring to open its doors. Finally, we confronted the anguished man, a painting born of madness and suffering, captured eternal anguish within its haunting brushstrokes. Yet, beyond the terrifying stories we've shared tonight lies a deeper truth. Sometimes objects carry with them more than just memories or emotions. Sometimes they harbor darker forces we cannot comprehend. Whether you choose to believe these curses exist or dismiss them as folklore, one fact remains undeniable. Each object carries a legacy written in fear, pain, and despair, capable of altering the lives of anyone who crosses its path. So dear listeners, next time you're drawn to an old antique or perhaps inherit something whose past you do not know, take a moment to ask yourselves one crucial question. What stories, what curses might this object silently conceal? As always, thank you for venturing into the darkness with me here on the Sinister podcast. Remember to keep your doors locked, your lights dimmed, and your mind open, for the truth is often more terrifying than fiction. Join me again soon as we continue our descent into darkness, uncovering secrets that are best left untouched. Until next time, good night, and beware what lurks in the shadows. We are always watching.